Before we start the Dhamma Talk, we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. So today we will continue the implications of morality. So here we have the first group, as we have started last week. 1. Visuddhi, abstinence. It is merely abstaining from killing and so on. So when we talk about visuddhi, it also covers wrong actions, wrong speech, wrong livelihood. So if we can abstain from 3 bodily wrong actions, 4 bhava wrong action, and wrong livelihoods, as we have already explained in the Visuddhimagga Sila. And moreover, I have to explain one more thing about Sama Ajiva or Micha Ajiva according to this context. In reality, when we are trying for surviving, we may have many difficulties with morality. For example, like a killing. There are some people, they have to kill living beings for their living. It's also panatipada. It also wrong livelihoods. Similarly, we have 3 bodily wrong actions: stealing and sexual misconduct. There are some people, they have to steal for their living. There are also some people, they have to do sexual misconduct for their living. It's also called wrong livelihoods. Then similarly, for bhava actions, we can also find many people are cheating or telling lie for their living. They also slander people for their living. Then they also use abusive words for their living. They also use or speak useless things for their living. All these are called wrong livelihoods. So in brief, 3 bodily wrong actions, 4 bhava wrong actions are also like a mithya vacha and mithya kamanda. If we are breaking all these precepts for our living or surviving, this is also mithya ajiva. So what it means, we have to abstain from 3 bodily wrong actions, 4 bhava wrong actions, and wrong livelihoods. 2. Avidity, no abstinence. It is the remaining mental formations accepting the volitions of abstinence. So we have to know that there are many different types of sila. Later we have to explain. For example, volition is also called sila. In Pali, Chirana sila. Then Chitasika, mental fetters, are also called sila. So that in the sense of avidity, it can be either wholesome or unwholesome. These are called Chitasika, mental fetters. All the mental fetters can be considered as avidity, non-abstinence. Here I have already mentioned, excepting the volitions of abstinence, all other things are called non-abstinence. So as we have known, according to Abhidhamma, there are 5 aggregates. Among them, we have 4 mental aggregates. So all the mental aggregates, excepting the volitions of abstinence, can be considered as avidity. Then Nisita Sila, next one, dependence. The moral precepts are undertaken dependent through craving and wrong view. So here we have to know a little bit more in detail. We may have different purpose of practicing sila, which means different people have different purpose of practicing. So there are some people, they may expect something, especially they may expect for some sensual enjoyment. So if we expect to be reborn as a deva, then this is called craving. So there are some people, they are knowledgeable about sila. If we don't have sila, we can be reborn in the deva realms as an ordinary deva. If we observe precepts, we can be reborn as higher deva or superior deva, more powerful deva. When we have this kind of expectations or this kind of wish, then depending on all these wish, if we practice, this is called Nisita Sila, dependent on or dependent through craving. Then there are also some wrong view holder. If we just practice sila, it is powerful enough to be free from samsara. If we have this kind of wrong view, this is also called nisita sila. So dependent through wrong view. People observe the precepts. Then we have the next one. Kala priyanta, temporary. Anisita means non-dependent, So non-dependent through craving and a wrong view. So it's opposite of previous one. So we don't have any expectations, we don't have any wrong view, we just practice sila purely. This is called anisita sila. The next one is a kala priyanta, temporary practice. Here we can also understand it is undertaken precepts limiting the time. In our society, from time to time, they also come and ask me, Buddy, tomorrow we are going to leave the monastery. So should I undertake the 5 precepts? In reality, you don't need to undertake the 5 precepts again. if you have limited the time, for example, in 7 days retreat, you may undertake a precepts for 7 days. When you leave home, it remain 5 precepts because of limiting the time. So yeah, limiting can be many different according to the people. For example, in every Uposatha day, we have the taken under 8 precepts or 9 precepts in Power Monastery. So only in that very day, they have limited the time. That is why the next day, they return to previous life, then they remain in 5 precepts, with the 5 precepts. This is called Kala Priyanta, limiting the time. But sometimes we have some complicated people. They say, okay, only in the monastery I will undertake 8 precepts. If I leave, I will not undertake 8 precepts. So sometimes they just come to monastery only in the morning. In the afternoon, they left. So that means they can have dinner. That kind of things is, they are so clever that they cannot undertake 8 precepts purely whole day. Okay, the main thing is limiting the time. It can be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. It depends on the practitioners. There will be different limitations. The next one is Apana Kotika Sila, lifelong. It is undertaking the precepts for the whole life. So sometimes in Myanmar, traditionally, we also have this kind of culture. For example, Atadeke Panu Petan, then we will start this kind of chanting, then Panchasila Samadhi Yami, like that. We can also undertake one by one. But the main thing is, for about 5 precepts, as a Buddhist, is a whole life, lifelong precepts. But for ordained person, we may have 10 precepts as a samrita. According to Lady Seattle, as soon as somebody wear the bark dyeing cloth, he should observe 10 precepts. That is according to Lady Seattle. Then we also have to know a few more things. For lay devotees, 10 precepts or 9 precepts or 8 precepts, mostly they practice only in the Uposatha day or in the meditation retreat. But if they can undertake whole life, it's also okay. But for about samnitas, it is a whole life. As long as they were ordained as the samnitas, they must remain practicing the 10 precepts. For about bhikkhu, we have bhikkhu Visuddhimagga. As long as we live in ordained life, we must continue practicing bhikkhu Visuddhimagga. This is called Apana Kotika Sila. We have the next groove, Sapriyanta, limited. So this here also limited again. But this limitation will be different from previous things. Previously, we just limit the time. This one is not limiting the time. So we may have many different supporting causes of breaking precepts. We also have many supporting causes of observing the precepts. For example, sometimes because of our relatives or because of our gay followers, friends, or limbs or body parts, or life, we may break precepts. So we can divide into many different groups. If we break precepts for gay, this is also called sapriyanta. Our precept is ending in gay, or our morality is ending in gay. Sometimes because of the followers or the friends, or maybe for faith, we may observe the precepts or we may break the precepts. If we break precepts, our morality is ending in followers, friends, and faith. Then sometimes we have to break precepts because of our relatives. If we have to break precepts for our relatives, this means our morality is ending in relatives. Then limbs or body parts. Sometimes if we undertake precepts, we have to sacrifice with our limbs or body parts. Sometimes we cannot sacrifice with it. We may break precepts. That means our morality is ending in limbs or body parts. So if we are practicing very seriously, sometimes we have to sacrifice with our life practicing the precepts. So now, if we break precepts for saving our life, that means our morality is ending in life. So these are the situations or the conditions that mentioned in the Visuddhimagga. So if we study comparatively, we have to know the three types of parami, perfections. So sometimes we have to test how strong our perfections. Among the perfections, we have the perfections of morality. So the first group is Sila Parami. We can translate as standard morality. Next one is Sila Upa Parami, medium perfections, medium Sila, or medium perfections of morality. The last one is Sila Paramatha Parami. That means the ultimate perfections of morality. If we combine these two, now that the Sapriyanta Sila and the Sila Parami, when we can practice Sila without breaking for gain or followers, friends, or fame, or relatives. This is Sila Parami, standard morality. So if we wish to practice better than that, we have to sacrifice with our limbs or body parts or organs. So although we have to sacrifice with our body parts, organs or limbs, if we don't break precepts, this is Sila Upa Parami, the medium perfections. Although we have to sacrifice with our life, we don't break precepts. If like this is Sila Paramata Parami, the ultimate perfections. So this is called Sapriyanta Sila, limited morality. We have Apriyanta Sila, unlimited. It will be opposite of previous 5. Right? So we can say we will break for gain. In Pali we call Lava Priyanta. Lava means gain. So we don't break precepts for gain. This means Apriyanta. Similarly, followers or friends, we can also translate as a reputations of faith. And this is called Yasa. Yasa Priyanta. If we break precepts for followers, friends, or fame or reputation, this is called Yasa Priyanta. Yasa means fame. Okay? Then again, relatives. We call Nyati Priyanta. Nyati means relatives. Now this one is the body parts or limbs or organs. This is Anga Priyanta. If we don't break precepts, that means it's Apriyanta. Life is a Jivita. We call Jivita Priyanta. Enter in life. For when we talk about Apriyanta, unlimited, that means we sacrifice with our life for our morality. So it can be the highest perfection. So in brief, these Priyanta and Apriyanta are good for our text. We can text ourselves how strong our parami, how many times do we break our precepts, moral precepts for gain, fame, and something like that? How many times do we abstain from breaking precepts? Although we have to sacrifice with our gain or fame and something like that. Okay, we have to continuous next group, Lokiya, maintain. So this one is also very common. Maintain Sila and Supra maintain Sila. From time to time, we can also understand Lokiya Sila means all the worldly people will practice Lokuttara Sila. Okay, all the noble people will practice Lokuttara Sila. But here in this case, the morality is the object of kangers. In Pali we call asawa, mental intoxicant. So we have to know what is really called mental intoxicant. For example, kamasawa, that means sensual pleasure or sensual desire. Bhavasawa, attachment to life or existence. Then we may have Dita Sawa. That means the wrong view. And finally, Avijja Sawa, ignorance. So if the precepts is the object of one of these four, it is called Lokiya Sila, mundane Sila. So here again, Lokuttara Sila. The morality is not the object of concords. So this is really called pure Sila. We can also understand the standard Sila. From time to time, when we read some stories, we can also find many different ways of practice depending on morality. For example, there are some Mahathera. They practice Sila very well. After that, they will recollect their Sila and they can attain hardship. There are many stories like that. In reality, it's not that simple. So there are successive causes of realizations of Nibbana depending on the morality. Okay, we have the next page. So here I mention one, purifications of morality produces delight, pamaja. So pamaja is not very strong as BD, rapture. At the very beginning of rapture, this is called pamaja. When pamaja becomes very powerful, it produces rapture, piti. So there are many different types of piti. In the very beginning, it will be very gross. It will make you exciting, elation. Gradually, when it becomes very subtle, very fine, after that, it becomes very comfortable. Then the rapture produces tranquility, passaddhi. So there will be tranquility of body and mind. Sometimes we can also feel peacefulness in our mind. We can also feel peacefulness of the body, very calm, very quiet, very comfortable, very luxurious. So once rapture becomes very powerful, it will produce the tranquility. Tranquility produces happiness, sukha. Sometimes we also translate sukha as bliss. It's very blissful. So tranquility will become very powerful and stronger. It will produce sukha. Then happiness, sukha, will produce concentration, samadhi. In this context, I have to explain a little bit more about the regulations of morality. Later, we have to explain in detail, but now here just introductions. When we can recollect our own virtues, very pure virtues or morality, we cannot attain jhana, but we can attain asset concentration. The asset concentration is also strong enough to continue practicing vipassana. Then 6, concentration produces the knowledge that knows the ultimate reality, Yathabhuta Jnana. So here Yathabhuta Jnana means we must know the things as they really are. This is called Yathabhuta Jnana. So we must know Rupa as a Rupa, Nama as a Nama. All these are called Yathabhuta Jnana. Not only that, we must know Anicca as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, Asubha. If we can understand everything, all the ultimate reality as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, this is called Yathabhuta Jnana. This is insight knowledge. So when insight knowledge becomes mature, we may have the next one, 7. The Yathabhuta Jnana produces the knowledge of disenchantment, detachment, the nibbida. This is also a kind of insight knowledge that aids the knowledge of disenchantment produces detachment, viraga. So this one is also very common. This also can be considered as path knowledge. When we talk about viraga, mostly it refers to path knowledge. Then 9, the detachment produces the liberation, vimutti. Mostly when we talk about vimutti, it is also referred to arhata fruition knowledge. Then finally, we have the liberation produces the knowledge of liberation, vimutti jnana dasana. So here when we talk about vimutti jnana dasana, it refers to revealed knowledge. So we can find all these informations in Anguttara Nikaya. This is just the easier textbooks for devotees. But we can also find in many other Nikaya and many other collections. Mostly when we talk about Silanusati, the recollections of morality, we have to explain all these processes. Okay, now I have to introduce one story. We can find this story in Mastripatthana Sutta Commentary, Venerable. You may have known that Mahathera. He was meditating in the forest. A group of gangsters came to see him, to him. He just requested them to allow him to meditate for one night. Then they say, how will you prove that you don't run away? He just pick up big stone and then strike his legs. 2 legs are broken. He cannot move anymore. In the text, it mentioned he just recollects his own virtues and he attained arhatship. That people can misunderstand. Oh, by recollecting only sila, he can attain arhatship? It's not like that. Actually, he has to follow all these processes. Sila do delight, pamoja do rapture, piti do passaddhi, tranquility, then passaddhi do sukha, happiness, sukha do concentration, samadhi, After that, vipassana, as mentioned in the list now. So this is the way he could attain headship after recollecting his morality. So we have to move to next group, Tika, triad. The Hina Sila, Majjhima Sila, and Panita Sila. So we all have known this Pali word: inferior, median, and superior. What made them inferior, superior, or median? So here one, hina, inferior morality, produced by inferior desire, inferior mind, inferior efforts, and inferior investigation. Okay, here we have to understand investigation as wisdom. Then Majjhima Sila, median morality, produced by median desire, median mind, median efforts, and median investigation. 3. Panita Sila, superior morality, produced by superior desire, superior mind, superior efforts, and superior investigation. So these are explained in the Visuddhimagga commentary and Visuddhimagga commentary. Actually, all the analysis can be found in both Patisambhidamagga and Visuddhimagga. Then not only that, inferior morality is observing the precepts for gay and fei. I think we have already know all these situations. If we can observe the precepts, we may have many devotees, we can earn more, we can be famous. By expecting gain and fame, if we practice sila, it is inferior sila. Actually, next page maybe, in the slides. Then observing the precepts defined by self-praise and disparagement of other. So sometimes we just upgrade ourselves, right? I'm this person, I'm this kind of higher person. They are inferior, like that. This by computation. Morality is not for computation. The morality should be the foundations of concentration, not for computation. So if we practice morality just for computation, self-praise, and disparagement of others, this is called inferior sila. Then the virtues motivated by craving, that expected worldly enjoyment in the existences. So sometimes we expect worldly enjoyment in the existence, and we also observe the precepts. Even in modern society, there are many people. Why do you undertake precepts? They may say, I want to be reborn in the Deva realms, because you can find many stories in Vimanavatu. Right? They observe 5 precepts very well. They are reborn in the Deva realms. They have this kind of enjoyment, that kind of enjoyment. They have many attendants, accompanies, accompanians, and also they have this kind of like a performance and properties and mentions many different things can be found in Vimanawa too. So expecting to enjoy in the existences, this is also a kind of craving. That's when it becomes inferior morality. When we are going to observe the precepts, our mind must be free from craving. Then what about medium morality? It is observing the precepts to get benefit of morality. When we study in the Digha Nikaya, especially when we study in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, we can find the benefit of observing the precepts. It's good to know, but it's not for expectation. If we do it, it will come to us naturally. We don't need to make aspiration. We don't need to expect it. Just do what we have to do. So sometimes we have a lot of knowledge. We know many different things about morality. We also know many different benefits of morality. Then experience the benefits. If we observe, it becomes the medium morality. Then again, undefined mundane virtues. So here we have to know undefined. That means free from defilements, right? So, but what about ordinary people? It's really very difficult for us to have undefined mundane virtues. There are no defilements. If we try, or if we have habits of practicing, we may have undefined mundane virtues. Then the last one is observing the precepts for one's own deliverance. That means we will not have other people. We're just trying to deliberate on the delivers. Maybe do we free from suffering? This is the call medium morality. What about superior morality? It's also observing the precepts, knowing that is a good thing to do. So this is also very important for our life. We have to know that morality is very important in our life. It's a good thing to do. Also good for our environment, good for our community. When we have this kind of knowledge, or when we have this kind of perceptions, and just observe the precepts, it will be superior morality. Then the supramundane virtues. So that is very simple, right? Only noble people will have this kind of virtues. And the perfections of morality, practice for the deliverance of all beings. This is like a perfections, fulfilling Sila Parami. So if we are fulfilling Sila Parami, it will be superior morality. It must be beneficial for living beings, not only for ourselves. Okay, we have to continue the next proof. Atta Jipateya, the virtues given precedence to self, true. Lokadipateya, the virtues given precedence to the world. 3. Dhammadipatya, the virtue giving precedence to the Dhamma. So these 3 can be found in Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 3. So here I have to elaborate a little bit more. Atthatipatya, how can we call that? Self-precedence or precedent to oneself. So sometimes we want to upgrade our value, or we want to maintain our value, our identity, or our dignity. Out of respect to our dignity, value, and quality, if we take precepts, this is called Atthatipatya. So I'm a valuable people. I'm a valuable person. I should not break any precepts. So I'm a good person or kind person. I should not show anything unkind to people. When we have this kind of practice, this is called Atthatipatya. Then second one is Lokatipatya. Here, Loka means other living beings. So this also out of respect to other living beings in our community or anywhere. So if I break precepts, it will be harmful for my community, for my relatives, my friends, something like that, that we may observe the precepts. Not only that, sometimes we feel a little shame. Oh, if I do some mistakes, there are some unseen living beings. Although I cannot see them, they can see I'm doing many things wrong. Then we may not make any mistakes. We may avoid killing and something like that. So that is called Lokatipatya. In the sense of Lokatipatya, we have to understand many different things. For example, there are some ascetics or ordinary person. They can reach other people's mind. They have psychic power. They can also see even very far. If they see my actions, if they listen my speech with their divine ear, or if they can read my mind, it will be very shameful. Out of respect, if we can observe precepts, this is also called Lokatipatya. Then finally, we have Dhammadipatya, the virtues given precedence to the Dhamma. In this case, sometimes we just respect the Dhamma, the truth, then we will undertake the precepts. It's called Dhammadipatya Sila. So that means we also have to pay homage to Sila. From time to time in our daily chants, we also have Imaya Dhammanu Dhammapatipatiya Buddham Bujemi, something like that, right? I mean, we just do puja for the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. In the same way, now we just wish to puja for the Dhamma. That is why we just practice Sila. This is called Dhammadipatya Sila. Then we have to continue the next group. Paramattha Sila, the virtues that is adhere to craving and wrong view. Then 2, aparamata sila, the virtue that is not adheres to craving and wrong view. So these two I have already explained in Nisita Sila, the same to Nisita Sila. 3, Patipasati Sila, the tranquilized virtues that is associated with fruition knowledge. So here we have to explain Aparamata Sila again. Aparamata Sila is the practice as a foundation of path knowledge for an ordinary person. Actually, next page maybe. The slideshow. Next page in the slideshow. Okay. So Aparamata Sila is the practice as the foundations of the path knowledge for ordinary person. So this is foundation. If we don't have any craving and a wrong view, when we are observing the precepts, it can be very big foundations. As I have listed out before, right? Systematic improvement. After that, we can take up to artisanship. Then, Aparamata is also the practice as a associating with the path knowledge for trainers. Here, trainers means the lower noble people. Then the path knowledge was associated with the sila. According to Noble Eightfold Paths, we have Samavacha, Samakamanda, Samaajiva. These three were associated with path knowledge. Okay, now we have to continue next groove. Visuddha Sila, pure virtues or pure morality. So, if we don't have any mistakes, it is also called Visuddha Sila. After making mistakes, if we make amendment, or maybe if we confess according to Vinaya, this is called Visuddha Sila. It does not mean we don't break any precepts, right? Although we break precepts, we must be honest, we must confess, and we must amend or we must change. Then 2, Avisuddha Sila, impure virtues, impure morality. In this case, here also mentioned not having made amends after committing. This is called Avisuddha. It depends on our mind. Sometimes we don't wish to change our habits or our behavior. That's why we may have many excuses. I have this situation, that situation, that's why I have to break this precept, something like that. So they don't want to change or they don't want to amend after committing. This is called Avisuddha Sila. According to Bhikkhu Vinaya, confection and also relinquishing, there are many different procedures for different rules and regulations. Then 3, Vimatika Sila, Duvyas Sila. Duvyas virtues. So having doubts about the offense or non-offense. Mostly this kind of things can happen in somebody who has not learned the precepts properly. Even frequently ask me something about Bhanathipata. For example, Bhante, if we kill a living being with mind, is it Bhanathipata? This one is very clear. Pranatipata is bodily actions. But if we have major power, we will kill somebody with major power. This is mind, mentally, not bodily. Then the second person will die. It's Pranatipata. If we don't have major power, although we kill mentally, or if the person didn't die, we cannot say we are killing, right? So that means here we have to make our mind clear or our knowledge clear. If we have very clear knowledge about morality, we may not have any doubt about our morality. It's also important for us to learn more disciplines and more rules and regulations in Buddha's teaching. So one more thing here. Sometimes there are some meditator, they say, I suspect that I did it. But according to Vinaya, if we suspect, don't do it. We must avoid in order that we may make our mind peaceful. Okay, these are the next three, right? Okay, we may move to the next one. Sekha, the virtue of trainer. That associates with 4 path knowledge and 3 lower fruition knowledges. So they are just for practitioners. Then 2, Aseka, the virtue of non-trainer. That associated with Arhat fruition knowledge. This is also very clear. Then 3, Nevaseka, Naseka, the virtue of neither trainer nor non-trainer, which means all the worldly people's virtues. Because the noble persons are easier to abstain from wrongdoings. Although they make mistakes, they are easy to confess. They are easy to amend themselves. Only ordinary people have many problems. We have a mana, conceit. We have attachment, craving. We have wrong view, deity. We have many other defilements. Then all the defilements can be the causes of breaking precepts. There are some very subtle defilements. Right? If so subtle, it cannot be the causes of breaking precepts. It will suffer in our minds. Okay, now we will have to continue next group, Chatuka, Tetrat. Hana Bhagya Sila. So here we have to explain a little bit more about Hana Bhagya. Here we said diminution or degradations of virtues. So I also have a list of it mentioned. That is caused by associating with immoral person and imitating immoral persons. So Hana Bhagya, why we have degradations of virtues? It depends on our association also. If we associate with immoral persons, sometimes their actions also can influence us. And if their actions influence, we will follow the way they do. Then we may break precepts. It will be Hana Bhagya, degradations of virtues. Then 2, avoiding moral persons. Sometimes we don't wish to associate with moral persons. We dislike moral persons. We don't want to see moral persons. This is not the way we have to do. If we avoid or hate or don't wish to see moral persons, it will be for the degradations of virtues. Then 3, not seeing faults in a transgressions. So here we have to understand one more thing. Sometimes we don't see mistake as a mistake. Sometimes we just see mistake is a good. These are good things to do. Sometimes we are proud of bad things, bad behavior. This is not really good things. It can be for the degradations of virtues. So we must see fault as a fault. If we make mistakes, we must see as mistake. Then 4, having evil thoughts most of the time. So from time to time, we may have wrong thoughts, evil thoughts. It's not really a big problem. If we have the same wrong thoughts or the same evil thoughts most of the time, it's a little bit risky. We are in danger. So we must avoid having evil thoughts. Then 5, not guarding the sense doors. We can also understand Indriya Samvara Sila. Later we have to explain in detail. We have to protect our eyes in order that defilement will not arise coming through the eyes. Similarly, nose, ears, tongue, body, and mind. We have to train or guard or protect all the sense doors. If we cannot protect or guard the sense doors, it will be for the degradations of virtues. Then again, we have Titi Bhagya Sila, stagnations of virtues. So the virtues of one who satisfies with virtues and does not continue practicing any meditation. There are some practitioners, they don't wish to improve. They don't wish to remain in one place. So they think morality is good enough to live an ordinary life. They don't want to practice more than that. And this is called Titi Bhagya, no more improvement. Just standing in one place for a long time. Then 3, Titi Bhagya, the distinctions of virtues. So the virtues of one who practices meditation and achieves concentration. So as I have explained before, morality must be the foundations of concentration. And concentration will be foundations of wisdom. So by making morality as foundations, he continues practicing meditation. Also, he achieved concentration. This is called Visuddhimagga. Then 4. Nibbida-magga, the penetrations of virtues. So Nibbida is also translated as disenchantment. So again, the virtues of one who practices for the disenchantment and the achievements of path and fruition knowledges. There's a higher insight knowledge and higher attainment. This is called Nibbida-magga. So in brief, sometimes our power of morality become weaker and weaker. It is Hana-magga. Sometimes our morality remain in the same stage, Thitti-magga. Sometimes we can improve a little bit better. We have concentration. This is called Visuddhimagga. If we can do better than that, we can attain path and fruition knowledge by practicing insight knowledges. This is called Nibbida-magga. Then again, we have to continue next group. Bhikkhu Sila, the virtues of monks. We can also say virtues of bhikkhus. 2 Bhikkhuni Sila, the virtues of bhikkhunis. Then we have Anupasamana Sila, the virtues of male novices and female novices. Then 4 Ghata Sila, the virtues of laities. So for bhikkhu and bhikkhuni, we have Bhikkhu Visuddhimagga and Bhikkhuni Visuddhimagga, and also we have 5 books of Vinaya Pitaka. For about Samaneras and Samaneris, we have 10 precepts. We can also categorize another way, like punishment and expelling or something like that. We also have Kandaka duties. We also have Sikhiya rules. Therefore, Ghata Sila, it should be the same. 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts. According to the situations, they can also practice. Some layperson duties. For example, if layperson is a father, he must fulfill father's duties. If he was a son, he must fulfill son's duties. Similarly, lay devotees, lay woman, if she is housewife, she must fulfill the duty of housewife, duties of like mother, or the duties of daughter, something like that. It depends on the way we live, or it depends on our community. Okay, since we have very short time, soon we are going to time is going to up soon. So I will continue next one. Pakati Sila, natural virtues. Uttara Guru people naturally never break any of 5 precepts. So from time to time, people also ask me, Bhante, where is the Uttara Guru? It will be northern part of this planet Earth, maybe, right? So here we can find they will never break any of 5 precepts. But in this planet Earth, we cannot find this kind of people. Maybe unseen people, maybe, right? If we can see in any of continents, we cannot find anybody who does not break any precepts. Then again, 2, Achara Sila, customary virtues. This one is a very common. The rules of conduct according to lineage, locality, region, religion. A few years ago, there's one devotees, laywoman devotees. She asked me, when there are non-Buddhists, many non-Buddhists, they are very good, very kind. How about their virtues? They are non-Buddhists. It depends on this one, Achara Sila. So here I didn't list out all Achara Sila. Okay? It can be according to the lineage. For example, like in Myanmar, we have many different tribes, many ethnic groups. We have different culture. Although we believe in Buddhism, we have different culture. According to lineage and culture, we have different morality. Sometimes according to the place. Even in Myanmar, we have different morality according to the places. So, for example, like you may know Bandi Uko, according to their area, they have, when they are going to take precepts, in the very beginning, they will chant Buddham Bujemi, and they were bound down one time. Dhammam Bujemi, and they were bound down one time. And Sangham Bujemi, bound down one time. After that, they chant Ogasa, this is Myanmar Ogasa, right? Then they undertake the precepts. This is the way they do. This is their culture. But in Upper Myanmar, as soon as we start, as soon as all the people are in the hall, we will start. Okay, shall we chant Ogasa? Then we start chanting Ogasa like that. It will be different, right? Seems like religion. There will be many different types of morality according to their religion. This guy called Achara Sila. Here, one more thing I didn't add here, because it can be found in other texts, not in Visuddhimagga. That is sub-discipline. Sub-discipline is also Achara Sila. So in modern community, we need sub-discipline most of the time. It's more important. Although we have good culture, good lineage, good religion, if we don't have sub-discipline, then we cannot practice well. It's very important, right? Then 3, Dhamma Sila, necessary virtues. When conceiving Bodhisattva, his mother never has any thoughts of man. This is natural. Then Pupa Hituka, caused by previous life practice. For example, Venerable Mahakassapa and his housewife, Padakapilani, both of them were born in the Brahma worlds in their past lives. That's why they don't have lustful minds due to their previous birth. This is called Pupa Hituka. Now we have to continue next one. Patimokha Samvara. This is very common. Patimokha restraint. So for that, we have to go to Patimokha rules. We have 2 books in Vinaya. We call Vibhanga. The first one is a Parajika Pali, second part is a Bhattitiya Pali. When you go and search in Tipitaka application, you can find. The first two books are called Patimokkha Samvara. Then again to Indriya Samvara, virtues of guardian sense faculties. So later we have to explain this one in detail again. Then 3, Ajiva Parisuddhi Sila, the virtues of pure livelihood. We have explained some part of pure livelihood according to Digha Nikaya. Later we have to explain according to Visuddhimagga. In reality, although we say according to Visuddhimagga, it also can be found in Patisambhidamagga and many other texts. The 4, Patyaya Sanisita Sila, the virtues concerning 4 requisites. This one also, we have to learn how to use the 4 requisites. We must reflect or recollect the purpose of using the 4 requisites. So we can find all these things in many discourses. Also, we can also find these things in Visuddhimagga, very many in detail. So we have to continue next week maybe. Okay, now we have to go to the table. It's very messy and also very complicated. So just for analyzing, I just put all this table. For example, 3 bodily round actions. So abandoning, abstentions, volition, restraint, non-transgression. That means abandoning, we can also categorize one by one. For example, among the 3 bodily actions, the first one is killing. Right? So killing, we can understand abandoning killing. Abandoning of killing, right? We can also abandon, that means abstentions from killing. Right? The volitions of killing. Restraint from killing. Non-transgression from killing. Something like that. We have to continue all other bodily actions, bhava actions, as we have already learned in our previous practice. So, then we also have to know 3 mental wrong actions, right? Then we have hindrances by opposite factors. Okay, so one more thing. Abandoning bodily wrong actions, we become virtues. Abstaining from bodily wrong actions, we become virtuous. Having volitions to avoid 3 wrong actions, we become virtuous. Having restraints from killing or bodily wrong actions, we become virtuous. Similarly, bhava wrong actions, mental wrong actions, you can also understand the same. Hindrances and opposite factors. So, for example, like Kamachanda means sensual desire. So when we think about sensual desire, it will be unvirtuous, right? So it can be the cause of breaking precepts. So there will be opposite factors of hindrances, for example, like Kamachanda and also no Kamachanda. Similarly, Bhayapada, no Bhayapada. I mean, evil and good will. Something like that. Then similarly, nearest enemies of jhana. For example, the first jhana were abandon hindrances. Then also abstentions of hindrances. Then having volitions to abandon hindrances, restraint from hindrances, no transactions from hindrances, something like that. The second jhana, nearest enemies of second jhana is Vitakka Vichara. Then piti is the nearest enemies of the third jhana. And Sukha is the nearest enemy of the fourth jhana. We can also understand all the immaterial jhanas. Right? Material object is the nearest enemies of the first immaterial jhana, and so on. Then not only that, we have the same things, but different types of contemplations. For example, the perceptions of anicca abandon the perceptions of nicca, opposites. Similarly, abstentions, volition, restraints, non-transgressions, we have to understand nibbida, distractions, and nandi, delight. For example, like abandoning nibbida, abandoning delight, having nibbida, distractions, abandoning delight, Similarly, having viraga, fading away, then it abandons raga. The nirodha, cessations, and abandon samudaya. Then rati nisaka, pati nisaka, abandon adhana, relinquishment and grasping. Then kaya, distractions, abandon gaha, competitiveness. Now vaya, for formations, abandon ayuhana, accumulating. Viparinama, change, abandon duva, lustiness. Animita, signless, abandon nimitta, sign. Abrihita, desireless, abandon vanity. Abanihita and vanity, right? Another sunyata, voidness, abandon, abhinivesa, misinterpreting. Then adipanya, higher insight, abandon. Here I mentioned sarada nabi as binivesa, misinterpreting due to grasping. The yatha buddha jnana dasana, correct knowledge vision, abandon samoha binivesa, misinterpreting due to confusion. Adinava, danger, abandon alaya binivesa, misinterpreting due to reliance on formation. Patisankha, reflection. Apatisankha, no reflections. Then vivadana, turning away, abandon sanyoga binivesa, misinterpreting due to bondage. Visuddhimagga, abandon wrong view, deity. So you can also understand remaining path and fruition and their abandonment. Similarly, We can also understand abstentions, volitions, restraints, non-transgressions. Right? All these things are mentioned in the Visuddhimagga. Just list out on the table. Actually, if I explain everything, it will be very long. Later, we have to explain all these things in inside knowledge, in the Vipassana part. Okay, today we will stop here. May you all be able to practice the 3 trainings, and may you all be able to realize the final cessations and no suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, according to Buddha's teaching, if we are doing good things, it's a good day, auspicious day. The moment we are doing good is good moment, auspicious moment. Right? We have to fix the time and date. This is actually wrong livelihood according to Buddha's teaching. Okay, so if Buddha say no excuses. Okay, next one.
Selling eggs, would they consider micha jiva?
Okay, so it depends on what kind of eggs, right? Okay. So that means it depends on what kind of eggs they sell, right? But now some of the eggs, they are unfertilized. It cannot produce any chick. Then it will be okay. If they sell some eggs that are fertilized, then we cannot say this is a good livelihood. Okay, it depends on what kind of things he says or she says. The next one.
So the second question, in the previous question and answering, Seattle talk about in a condition, I think it's related to Valanjaka, Musawada. Seattle mentions that in case of danger, it would not be considered breaking the precepts. So he would like to clarify with this statement. Means in the condition when there is a danger, would they consider not breaking the Musawada precept in the context of Valanjaka Musawada?
Okay, in the context of Valanjaka Musawada, we have to know it is breaking precepts, but not akusala karma. We have to understand like that. Okay? We cannot say that one is a good intention, right? So, according to Bhikkhu Vinaya, if a bhikkhu instructs that kind of things to sick people, it also, if he commits suicide, it's parajika. So in the sense that we can also understand the Buddha didn't encourage that kind of tagline or that kind of encouragement. So we must not praise committing suicide is a good or something like that. It's better for you to die. It's better for you to commit suicide. If we say like this, we cannot say we have good intention, right? Because it will deprive other people's life. Okay, so in this way, we cannot say kusala, right? Out of compassion, but we shouldn't have this kind of compassion. Okay. Actually, we should not do this kind of things. Right? For protection, we just chant break. That's enough. For our tight, it's not our duty, not our responsibilities. Okay, there's no good things to do. Okay, so here we have to talk about the sex, right? So I think many people also have known this one. In Bhikkhu Vinaya, we have 3: oral sex, anal sex, and genital sex. Any kind of sex can be considered as a kamasumi chacha. Right? We have to understand like that. So homosexual also, if they have, like, for example, like they are couple already, for example, right? The second person or the third person will approach one of them. We have to consider. This is also breaking precepts. Because we cannot say, right, who is the wife, who is the husband in this case. Because that's why we have to consider, right? Okay. Actually, it doesn't mention we must not have this kind of such a relationship, right? The main thing is like a ordinary person must be real man. If somebody is a homosexual, we have to consider, because it will be very problematic in the society, because Bhikkhu organization is, community is only men, right? If homosexual join the order, then he may like many men, right? This is the problem. So what I just said, they are not allowed to be ordained. That's all, right? Okay, so we have one explanations is come from their Kamsumachara. If they have committed Kamsumachara in their past lives, they can be reborn as homosexual. Right? We have this kind of explanations. Okay. Okay. So for about wrong view, sometimes we believe that only pure morality is enough to be free from suffering or wrong or samsara. This is called wrong view. Then similarly, by observing precepts without doing any other thing, if we can attain Maggaphala or Nibbana, this is also called wrong view. Right? So that means if we believe like this, or accepting this kind of idea, or this kind of theory, and practicing sila, it can be called Paramatha or Nisita sila. Okay? Okay, for example, okay, Sotapanna. Sotapanna also can eradicate the defilements that can be the cause of breaking precepts. For example, they also have lobha, but their lobha is not strong enough to break precepts, especially 5 precepts. Okay. Similarly, Sakadagami will observe 5 precepts. Then similarly, Anagami will be different. Anagami will undertake 10 precepts. So that means he has already eradicated the defilements that can be the causes of breaking 10 precepts. That's why they will not break any of 10 precepts by the power of their past and future knowledge. So briefly, not only arhats or other noble persons also will not break precepts because they have already eradicated that kind of precepts. Oh, sorry, that kind of defilement, sorry. Okay, next one. So in this case, we have to ask, what's the constitutions of your country? If you don't follow the constitutions of your country or the law of your country, this is good or bad. Actually, morality is the law, rule and regulations. So we cannot say breaking precept or not breaking precept. We must know how harmful for our community, how harmful for ourselves. Sometimes we cheat ourselves, right? As if innocence. That's really not really very good. So the main thing is, if they have this kind of perceptions, whether you like or dislike, or you wish to follow or not, if you wish to be better person in your community, you must follow many rules and regulations. Without following rules and regulations, we're going to live in the community. Every community, there's a rule and regulations. All these are called precepts. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Vanami said đó, the question from Bhikkhu Sutacha, như thầy đã giảng trước khi đắp y nhuộm bổ cây. Vanami said đó, just now said đó say, any person who are wearing the cloth which is dye color dye by the tree bark, so have to keep at least 10 precepts. Nếu như vị giáo thọ ấy với vị tỳ kheo chưa đủ. But some sale or samanera undertaking the precept with a bhikkhu, which is not enough vasa, or some bhikkhu who are committed parajika already, or so the samanera or the sale who are ordained under such a bhikkhu also wearing the cloth, the chivara by dye color dye by the tree bark. So do they successful ordination? And how about their vài vị ấy hành trì giới? And they also practice sila, pure, and they also practice diligently in meditation. Can they attend any jhana, magga, phala? Sadhu, sadhu, sayadaw.
Okay, so for about ordination, we can also say it's a successful ordination, right? Because the Brisabda is the problem. For about ordination, like bhikkhu ordination, it depends on all other bhikkhus. Right? That means all other bhikkhus also chant Kamavaja. Then also we have enough number of bhikkhus in the ordination ceremony. Then nobody knew that he had committed parajika. That's why people allow him to join the ordination. He become upajjhaya and something like that. In this case, it will be exception. He is fully successfully ordained. For some also, it will be the same. But for our Sriyale and others, we have to consider more, right? Even for some we have to consider. So for about the practicing, as after ordinations, if he thinks that he is successfully ordained, he may practice, it doesn't matter. It's possible. I'm not sure they can attain path and fruition knowledge or not. But jhana or not, it's not sure. But they can practice. Okay? For about attainments, it depends on their parami also, not only their ordination. For about bhikkhu, it's very clear. If upajjhaya is a parajika, but all other bhikkhus are successful, or maybe like very pure bhikkhu, in their ordinations, then they work together, then it's okay. It's successful ordination. He can also attain arhatship. After arhatship, it doesn't matter. Okay? Next one.
Manami Siado. Just now, Siado says these observing precepts as objects for the asava, for the kangar. Can Siado give an example for this statement?
So one more thing here. Kama Sava is very clear, right? For example, by observing precepts, I can earn more. This is for Kama. Right? This is called Kama Sava. Observing precepts will become the object of Kama Sava. So for Dita Sava, I have already explained. By observing precepts, we can attain Nibbana. This kind of wrong view. This is called Dita Sava. Okay, now we have to think about Bhava Sava, the attachment to life. So there are some people, they will say, if you can observe precepts, you can live long. Attachment to life, he may observe the precepts. In this case, it will be Dita Sava, the object of Dita Sava. Avijja Sava is not knowing the Four Noble Truths, or not understanding the Four Noble Truths, or maybe not understanding the cause of a relationship. Then observing precepts. And this can be considered as the object of Avijja Sava. Okay?
They say someone see on the clothes there are many small ants, and when dosa mind arise, with the dosa mind, he used his hand to shake away the ants. And in this case, some ants will die. Would that be considered breaking the precepts? On the clothing?
Depends on what kind of ants. For example, like some very, very small ants, if you shake and they were like fall into the ground or somewhere, they will not die. Right? So in this case, we have to know what kind of ants it is. It's very big one, I'm not sure. But for small one, it's very clear. You cannot die easily. Okay, so in this case, you have to be patient. You must know how to remove them properly and patiently and calmly and kindly also. Okay? So as soon as they have intention to steal, we cannot say good intention. Helping poor is a good intention, but stealing rich is not good intention. Right? According to Buddha's teaching, we have to understand like this. Okay?
Someone buy alcohol and offer to others, would they consider breaking 5 precepts? Or when someone invites a guest to have invites a guest and the guest themselves drink alcohol, the host did not invite them to drink, they drink themselves, would they consider breaking the 5 precepts?
Okay, so that means sometimes you have to bind. Okay? In this case, for akusala is very clear, because when we are going to talk about akusala, we have to know 4 different things. We ourselves, right, take alcohol or drink alcohol. This is very clear. This is a breaking precepts. Second one is also, that one is like agreeing, right? If we agree, when someone asks, should I drink? You say yes, then this is agree. Then praising. You may praise, oh, you can drink that much, praising, right? Then encouraging. So 4 conditions. So these are called akusala karma. What about breaking precepts? Okay, the one who drank is a breaking precepts. The one who buying is just happen to break precepts, right? So, for example, if all of them have to go to the courts, the drunkard may have heavy punishments. Then the one who buy will be witness, here to suffer in the trial courts. Right? Have to answer many questions, make himself unnecessarily busy, something like that. So, but the main thing is, the Buddha is not recommended to buy any bad things for people, right? Okay, one more thing is like duties. It depends on the community. We may have different duties. So we have duty, that's why we give them. It will be different. This is a fulfilling duty. For example, like a hunter and his wife. His wife will give the hunter weapons like bows, arrows, spears, swords. These are only high duties. So he didn't say, please kill any animals for this. Right? So this is a little bit different. Now in the case of the like a buying alcohol for the cats, this is right, very clear. Please learn this one.
Someone buy some fish from a person who do the fishing. And after buying this type of fish, he tried to release it into the river. So when he released this fish into the river, some of the fish died. So would they consider breaking precepts? But and also another condition, if someone want to release this fish, and for this purpose he try to buy from other people, and this seller know where he buy these fishes, where he release this fish. So this has become a bad cycle, vicious cycle, where someone sell and because of people want to release fish. Would they consider how to deal with these problems?
Actually, okay, as long as we wish to release the fishes, we have good intention. Now, another thing is after buying, before we are going to release, they die on the way. This is not because of our actions. Okay? This is not, we cannot say it's killing or not breaking precepts. For about recycle, I don't know the one, but that much clearly. So it depends on the situations, right? Some of the fish, it will be problem. And some fishes are not that much problem. It depends on what kind of fish. Okay, now this one.
A bhikkhu, can they accept the house inherited from the parents, and this house, can it be registered under the name of the bhikkhu? And if this house has a lay person stay, and this bhikkhu, can they stay together with this lay person? Would they be allowable?
It's a little bit problematic. Right? So we have to understand one more thing. You know, if we live together with lay devotees, according to Vinaya, it's not really very good. The Sasyastikabara, we have in Bhattitiya. So what about accepting inheritance? It depends on the law of the country. We don't have this kind of things in Buddha's teaching, right? So in this case, if we just like accept the one for the constructions or for the monastery, the Dhamma purpose, it will be much better. It's just for commercial purpose or business purpose. It's not really very good for the bhikkhus. As she said now, as you mentioned in the question, living without what the lay devotees or laymen, lay persons, this is not really good sign. According to Vinaya, it's a breaking precepts. Okay? So when we talk about superior morality, we have already talked about how we should keep our mind. So, okay, there I mentioned like inferior desire or superior desire. So, okay, superior desire means to help people, to help all living beings. We have this kind of desire. And superior mind. So similarly, we must have very high mental quality, superior effort. Here we must have superior bodily energy and mental energy. We have to put all our body and mental energy to observe the precepts. So mentally, we have to think how to avoid, how to do, how to handle, in order that we may not break precepts. So if we put all the mental energy and bodily energy to observe precepts, this is called superior effort. Similarly, superior investigation. We can also say superior wisdom. So we must know the benefit, how beneficial it is, who can get the benefit from it, so how strong the benefit it is. So if we can know all the things, and also we can do the most beneficial things for our community, it becomes superior morality. Okay? Itawata janamehi sambadam bunya sambadam Sabbe Deva Numodantu, Sabbe Buddha Numodantu, Sabbe Saddha Numodantu, Sabba Sampati Siddhya, Idame Nyatinam Hodu, Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo, Idame Nyatinam Hodu, Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo, Idame Nyatinam Hodu, Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo, Idame Punyam, Asawakaya Waham Hodu, Idame Punyam, Nibbanasa Pachayo Hodu, Mama Punya Bhagam, Sabba Sadanam, Bhajimi, Te Sabe, Me Samam, Punya Bhagam Labandu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.